Welcome back to Look News. We continue our Look Who Cares 12 Days of Giving tonight, nominated by Look News contributor Natalie Sillery. We welcome Heather Straughter from Jake's Help from Heaven. Heather, thank you for stopping by and being a part of our 12 Days of Giving.
Thank you for having me.
I thought a great place to start was to tell us a little bit about Jake. Obviously, your son, the inspiration for the organization. Talk to me a little bit about Jake.
So Jake was born a completely healthy baby boy. We actually left the hospital the next day. Everything was great. He was born in Boston, and we moved to Saratoga when he was 6 months old, or when he was 2 months old, I'm sorry. And when he was 8 months old, in the middle of the night, he woke up and he was having a seizure. And we didn't actually even know it was a seizure because it was just a rhythmic movement of his hand that, mother's instinct sort of kicked in, and I knew something was wrong. But he was fine. He was with us. He was taking a bottle. But we went to the hospital, and they couldn't control it. And then we ended up, long story short, getting transferred to Boston Children's Hospital, where we spent 117 days.
Wow.
And he was released shortly after his first birthday, and we came back home, and at that point he had lost all his milestones. He couldn't sit independently, he couldn't hold his head, he had lost any verbalizations, like vocalizations that he had, and was completely immobile. So it took a lot of life change. We went from having 2 healthy boys to 1 severely ill. And we just, the support of the community and just our friends and the Epilepsy Foundation of Northeastern New York really helped us tremendously at this point, because it was just completely life-changing. And he lived to be 4. He continued to struggle with seizures and with various other illnesses, but just had this incredible spirit, and he just had you could see it in his eyes, like his lust for life and his fight, and it was pretty dynamic to be around, and I was so proud. And my husband and I would always talk about life with Jake, because we just assumed that we would always have life with Jake. Yeah. While he was ill, we didn't think that he would pass, and his passing came incredibly suddenly. We didn't see it coming. And it was in those hours after he had passed that my husband and I sort of had this conversation of, we can't let this go. We have to sort of harness what we've learned from him in 4 years and do something with it.
Incredibly difficult to lose a child. I can only imagine not being a parent, but incredibly difficult to lose a child. But then taking that experience and actually, as you said, you and your husband saying, we can't let this just be the end. It has to go on. Talk to me about the idea for Jake's Help from Heaven, and then actually, the mission of this organization that you launched.
So we just, again, it was just that sort of need to keep Jake alive and to keep him, part of our lives. And through Jake's illness and through his life, we realized that we learned the health insurance battle, we learned the Medicare battle, we learned the find the best doctor. Like, I learned how to be a pretty tough advocate for my son.
All things that you didn't expect.
All things that I never knew I would have these sort of skills. We had to find him the best doctors. I had to do research to find him the doctors that could help him the best, and we traveled to do that. And we realized along the way the expense, and we often stopped and sort of counted our blessings, because even though our son was ill, we were able to seek out the best for him, and I was able to not work and to spend 24/7 caring for him and advocating for him. And we often thought about families who have the same struggle, who might not be as fortunate to be able to stay home with their son and to have to, just to do the stuff that took me essentially full time. Yeah. And not be able to do it. And we were always sort of counted our blessings. And after he passed, we wanted to harness everything that we had learned and figure out how we could give back. And we realized it was in ways that other organizations hadn't quite done. We reimburse people for traveling to get the best care for their son. So if someone's going to Boston Children's or New York City or the Cleveland Clinic, we help them get there. We reimburse them for their travel, for their stays, for anything to help that happen. And we also realized that once you put the special needs label on it, things are so expensive. Yeah. And it's hard to fight insurance, and certain things are only covered. And some of these things could radically change a child's life, and therefore change a family's life. There was a certain neck brace that Jake had, that once we got that, he could ride safely in the car, and we could go on longer trips because it kind of helped support him. He could be in his stroller longer, and we started being able to go places as a family, and that changed our lives. It changed our older son's life too, because all of a sudden we weren't just having to stay home with Jake. So we started Jake's Help from Heaven really with the mission of being able to support individuals regardless of age, because we had thought Jake would be with us, so it wasn't just a child thing. It's,
Yes.
If you have a grown child living with you because they are ill, but to help the individual and the family and improve their quality of life. And we call them either medically necessary or medically convenient. That's kind of our little tagline.
We're trying to make every moment, every precious moment count.
Absolutely, just about that quality of life and being able to take some of the burden and some of the stress of living with a medically complicated child and take some of that burden off so that they can enjoy.
You're a very active organization. Of course, Natalie Sillery nominating you on your board
She's on our
of
board.
directors, a huge advocate for the organization. Talk to me about the group of people that are supporting you and what you're doing, and also the events that you're having all year long that can have our viewers and the community get out and really support this mission.
We've been blessed to actually put together this pretty amazing board, and we, in those early days when we were planning, we tried to find people who not only were friends of ours, but people who could bring something special to it. So we have a board of 9 people, and each person has sort of a different audience and a different group of friends and a different skill that they bring. We have someone who specializes in technology. We have someone who, like Natalie, who has her old group of trunkettes and people who support her. And we have just this great board, and we meet quarterly, and people apply on a quarterly basis, and that's our board meeting. We go through the applications. I get them to them beforehand, and we go through them, and we figure out who we can help and how we can help them based on their applications. And we're really proud that in 3 years, we started Jake passed in December 8th of 2010, and we were established as a 501c3 March 17th of 2011. So we got it off the ground pretty quick. And we have, in that time, been able to award over $91,000 in grants.
Congratulations.
So
That's a
we're
lot of
really
hard
proud.
work.
It's a lot, and we're proud of how much we've been able to grow. In 2013 alone, we've done over $56,000 of that sum. So it's been great, and with that comes our fundraising, because we couldn't do it without fundraising. And one thing that I love about us is that the board isn't paid, there's no salary. All of the legwork is pretty much me and my husband, Brian, and every penny that comes in goes straight into the applications, into funding people. So our major fundraisers that we have an annual Family Fun Day event, which we do around Jake's birthday every year. So his birthday is May 4th, and the 4th annual will be held April 27th.
Okay.
And it's held at Saratoga Strike Zone, and it's a 2-hour event on a Sunday morning, 11 to 1, where it's $25 a person, but it includes bowling, it includes Ballosity, it includes pizza, it includes soda, it includes your shoes, it includes tokens for the arcade. It's basically gets you in, and we have awesome raffles that people donate. And it's really been, we kind of treat it like Jake's birthday party. Like, it's just a big community support. And we've been blessed that we've done well at it, and it's just fun. And we want to kind of continue the fun. So I'll be soon, in January, I'll start pushing pretty hard for that event to start. It's been sold out 3 years in a row, which is pretty cool.
And of course, a way that folks can donate raffle items to you.
Raffle
can
items,
also-
absolutely. We do. We have a big sponsorship package that raises from $50 to $2,500. So, there's kind of all levels for businesses, for people. You can be on the T-shirt. We've got big banners. We've got all different ways for local companies to support us and to attend. So it's
something that I found very interesting and truly touched me was when we were doing a little research on the organization for these segments. You have a blog.
I do.
The blog is called Letters to Jakey, and you're really writing letters to your son about the work that you're now doing for all these different children and that really need help like he did. Tell me a little bit about
Letters to Jakey actually started before he passed.
Okay.
And I always thought it was one of the best things I did. It was just a couple months before he passed, and I would always talk to him in the car. I would always have these conversations, and one day I was like, I want to write these down, and I started writing them down, and it became this real conversation, because as I was writing them, he was often right there near me. So it was this kind of little thing that we had, and I would talk to him through it, and and I always felt like he thought his mom was a little nuts, but went with it. And then after he passed, I couldn't not continue it. And it's, you know, I go kind of now through, I might have a few months where I don't, and then I might write every day for a week. But it's really, it's just this way for me to be able to document what we're doing. And I know that there's these moments where I know he's so proud of us, and he lets us know, you know, and he's proud of what we're doing. And for me, it's just this very tangible way to have a private, personal connection with my son. And even though I blog, so it's sort of out there, it's just, it's a way to keep the mother-son connection, really. You
and
know,
also show support to other people that may be going through similar situations.
Absolutely. And I've through the blog, I've gotten some comments from people who have lost a child or who have a sick child. And there's a special connection that once you have that loss or that sort of experience that you have with people. So I think it's helpful to others, and the responses are also extremely helpful to me. And sometimes it's a nice way to just let people know where I'm at too. You know, so it's been good for me.
It's a good way to check in. Heather Strotter from Jake's Help from Heaven. You're doing such good work out of, you know, such a sad event, but I'm sure, as you said, Jake is looking down and making a lot of young children happy. No. Thank you so much for being a part of our 12 Days of Giving. Now, to see this segment for a second time, learn how to make a donation and get more information about Jake's Help from Heaven, visit our website. It's luketvonline.com. And we continue our Luke Who Cares segments on Monday with the Multiple Sclerosis Society. And we'll be right back.